Now, a faction of the Labour Party in Lagos has raised serious allegations against the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, also known as LASIEC, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, accusing them of acting in bad faith and compromising the electoral process ahead of the forthcoming local government elections. Now, of course, LASIEC has issued nomination forms to a rival faction of the party and had been sacked by the Supreme Court, according to this faction, despite a letter stating that no faction would be given forms until clarification from INEC. However, there seems to be issues within the party. Earlier in the week, we spoke with Rotimi Odunaike, chairman of the Labour Party Caretaker Committee in Lagos, and this, of course, are some of the things he said on this program.
That was written to the REC, requesting for clarifications again on who the legitimate leadership of the Labour Party in Lagos State was. And then come the 22nd of May, LASIEC is selling forms to a faction of...
What faction is this?
The Diokon faction of the Labour Party in Lagos State.
Okay.
So the letter that was written to me on the 15th of May, it was CC'd to other, it was written to other factions as well. Stated, Rotimi Odunaike, State Chairman, Labour Party. We all know that the LASIEC chairman is an ex-judge. She's learned. LASIEC has a legal department. INEC has a legal department. They said they would wait for clarifications, and no clarification has come. So on hearing that they sold forms to the other faction, we then went to LASIEC on Friday. There was a lot of issues. We couldn't see the chairman. After a while, my people saw the chairman, and she came out, and there was a verbal conversation. But I insisted that we needed a letter to show, because you wrote to REC, you wrote to INEC. There needs to be a letter back to them to tell you that categorically this is the leadership team of Labour Party in Lagos State. We didn't get that. So we wrote a letter seeking that clarification from them, and we took that letter to LASIEC this morning. On getting to LASIEC this morning, we then received, after a lot of back and forth, the chairman came out after a while to speak to us. She then gave us this letter. Okay. Now this is where I want Nigerians to see and Lagosians to see what is going on. The letter that was given to us was written by INEC to LASIEC. And the letter is about the request for clarification on lawfully recognized executives of the party. The letter was written not just about Labour Party, but about Accord Party as well. Apparently there's dispute about leadership in Accord Party. The letter then references the Accord letter that was written to INEC to clarify their leadership team, and said they referenced a letter that was dated 2nd December 2024. I see the Accord letter dated 2nd December 2024. Then it says that the Labour letter written to INEC to clarify dated 14th of March 2025. Then I look to see the list of executives that was sent to them, and it was a letter dated 8th June 2023. Like I said, she's a retired judge. INEC, LASIEC, they have a legal department. How can they get this wrong if there's nothing fishy? And I did tell it to her face. I said, if it smells like fish, it looks like fish, it must be fish. There's something fishy going on, and we need clarification on this.
So, from everything that you said, you said that apparently it appears there are 3 factions in Lagos. Where do you suspect this foul play coming from? If at all there's a foul play.
I don't want to accuse anyone. It's all going to be allegations. But we do know that there was a Supreme Court judgment that came in on the 4th of April. Everyone, entire Nigeria knows that. It should not take INEC more than a few days or a few weeks to interpret that judgment. And that judgment clearly states that the Aburi leadership had ended a long time ago. There can't be a vacuum in a political party. It's internal issues, and a national working committee exists. And that national working committee has mandated us, the Caretaker Committee, to take care of things in Lagos State for now.
Welcome back. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and of course we are looking at some of the, well, I call it underlining issues within the Labour Party ahead of the Lagos State local government polls. Well, we just did a playback of an interview we had earlier this week with Rotimi Odunaike, is the chairman for the Labour Party Caretaker Committee, Lagos State, and joining me right now to react to some of the things that were said in that interview and to set the record straight is Adeola Onikoyi, is the Publicity Secretary of Labour Party in Lagos. Also, Sam Emeka Okpala is the Lagos State Secretary for the Labour Party. Both gentlemen join me live in the studio. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for having us.
All right, let me start with you, Mr. Okpala. You heard what Mr. Rotimi did say as regards the Labour Party, and he made reference saying that there are factions, about 3, within the Labour Party in Lagos State. I'd like you to put some clarity to some of the things or issues he raised, and if they can be substantiated.
Thank you so much, and thank you, viewers. The truth is that Labour Party is not factionalized. That is one thing we want Nigerians
So all the
to know.
Abure faction we are hearing, the OT faction, the National Working Committee, and all of that.
We are talking about law here. We are talking about legality. If anybody comes from anywhere to claim what he is not, it does not make that thing to exist. The truth is that Labour Party is one, not factionalized from the national to the state here in Lagos.
So
we have
okay.
Abure as the national chairman of the party. In Lagos State, we have Pastor Dr. Mrs. Dayo Ekong as the chairman. So, Labour Party is not factional.
Is that
now,
based on the Supreme Court judgment?
Let's get to that issue.
Okay.
The Supreme Court, being the highest court of the land, has made its pronouncement very clear. There's no ambiguity. Whatever you hear are just people interpreting that judgment as it suits their wish and expectations. And it shouldn't be so. The Supreme Court says that leadership of a party can only be determined by the party itself in accordance with their constitution, in accordance with the provisions of their constitution. That the Supreme Court, being the highest court of the land itself, and other lower courts lack jurisdiction to interfere in leadership issues in political parties. Very clear. Very clear.
I mean,
and coming to Labour Party,
okay.
Today, the leadership that we have in the National Working Committee was elected during the March 27th National Convention held at Nnewi, Anambra State. No court of law has invalidated that convention, and it stands. Secondly, INEC as a body, as a regulatory body for political parties, has made their position known. Anambra governorship primary for Labour Party happened on the 5th of April, a day after the Supreme Court judgment. Recently, INEC published the names of candidates for that election. And in our own case, the Labour Party, our candidate's name, George Mogalo, was published and uploaded as we speak today. And that candidate emerged from the primary conducted by the Julius Abure-led National Working Committee. So, for us, anybody telling the world that Labour Party is factionalized is only misleading people. Labour Party is one. There's no faction anywhere.
So, what do we make of the caretaker committee, set up in Lagos, and of course, the person of Mr. Rotimi Odunaike being its chairman?
Well, I said it before. Somebody's pronouncement does not legalize whatever the person is claiming. I can wake up today and say, I'm the president of Nigeria. Does that make me the president of the country? No. The truth is that illegality cannot beget legality. Rotimi, or whatever he calls himself, let me even shock you. He's not even a registered member of the Labour Party.
He's not a member of the party.
He's not registered as a member of the party. So where is he coming from? Also, as we speak today, where do they derive the locals to claim that they are part of or the executive of Labour Party? Where? Can you put something on nothing and expect it to stand? The answer is no. The so-called whatever meeting, kangaroo gathering, they claim produce them. It's an illegality. It can't stand because the parties recognized organs are the National Convention, National Executive Council, and the National Working Committee at the federal level. At the state, you have state Executive Council, you have state Working Committee. At the local government, in that order. So where do they derive the power to claim what they are claiming? They said they are part of the Caretaker committee or whatever, which is not known to our constitution.
It's unknown.
Where is it coming from? Check Labour Party constitution. Every Nigerians can access it.
But there's also the talk around Julius Abure's tenure being expired.
I've addressed it. The issue is that the tenure of the National Working Committee for Labour Party today, led by Julius Abure, was elected during the March 27th National Convention, and that subsists as we speak. So where's the vacancy? Where's the expiration?
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely dig deeper. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and of course we're discussing issues around, the politics within the Labour Party, particularly in lieu of the Lagos State local government elections, which is just around the corner. I have Adeola Onikoyi as Publicity Secretary for the Labour Party Lagos State, and also Sam Emeka Okpala as Lagos State Secretary for the Labour Party. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Adeola, let me get straight to you on this one. Now, I'm still going to make reference to some of the things Rotimi did say. He presented documents sort of to back his claim that there are issues around the activities of LASIEC, even INEC, and selection of candidates, and poking holes,
right,
to that effect. So, I mean, I would like you to react to some of those issues it did identify as regards your party.
Well, the first thing to note is that, as the State Secretary said, there is no faction in Lagos State. The so-called Caretaker Committee is non-existent. Just because you pronounce it, because you claim it to be so, doesn't make it so. What LASIEC has done is LASIEC has done the right thing right now by recognizing the legitimate leadership in Lagos State. So we also had issues with LASIEC, because LASIEC initially did not want, the press conference the retired justice held saying, there are 3 factions in Lagos State and all of that. We had issues with that, and we confronted LASIEC because during the tenure of this LASIEC chairman, she has only always consistently dealt with one structure in Labour Party in Lagos State, and that has been led by Pastor Dr. Mrs. Adeola. Right. And so for the LASIEC chairman to come out and say that there are 3 factions in Lagos State and they are writing to INEC to seek clarifications. Okay, fair enough. They wrote to INEC. INEC took their time in responding, and that is why we raised alarm that see what is going on. LASIEC has written to INEC. INEC has not responded yet. LASIEC is refusing to sell forms to us. That was a couple of weeks ago. But then INEC responded, which I think is part of what Mr. Rotimi came here to say, they're selling to some faction. What INEC has done is respond to LASIEC and say that this is the legitimate leadership in Lagos State, and you can go ahead. And so LASIEC went ahead, they've sold forms to us. We've had our candidates fill them, our candidates have been uploaded, and they've been published. And so what LASIEC has simply done is the right thing. But I will say this though, we're still watching, we're still observing LASIEC, because we cannot just say that we are completely comfortable with all the moves that we have seen.
Why are you not comfortable?
Because number one, that pronouncement, right, there was no need for that pronouncement because, as I said, the chairman of LASIEC knows who the chairman of Labour Party in Lagos State is. And so for her to come out and say that, there are 3 factions, that they don't know who to observe their primaries, they don't know who to sell forms to, in my view, that was just playing games. And so that's why I say we're observing.
Okay, let me come back to you, Mr. Okpala. I mean, why does it appear, permit me to use the word, difficult to sort of come to a unanimous decision. This is where I'm going. Why are there too many voices, conflicting voices within the Labour Party in Lagos State? Why is it that LASIEC has to listen to different opinions to be able to make a decision that affects just the unit?
Thank you so much. First of all, let me add a little to what my publicity secretary said. LASIEC is a public institution saddled with the responsibility of conducting election in Lagos State. Before now, LASIEC has been having interface with the Pastor Dayo Ekong-led Labour Party and no other one. Now, election time is around. We started seeing people springing up from here and there claiming what they are not. And LASIEC, as a good corporate organization or institution, decided to say, oh wait, let's know where we are going and who we are dealing with. And they wrote INEC. Fine, we don't have issue with that. But also we knew that we do not have all the time in the world. There are deadlines set by LASIEC and we raised the alarm. Of course, it took INEC some days before they responded. But let me also tell Nigerians, the Pastor Dayo Ekong-led Labour Party came on board on 10th of January 2023, few weeks to the last general election. From that time till today, we've been relating with INEC, we've been relating with LASIEC. And for somebody to say something is fishy in the document he presented, is just being clever by half. The truth is that every time the Lagos State leadership of the party is reconstituted, INEC has a copy from that 2023. So in INEC record, I know that they must have more than 7 lists of the executive because, of course, we are still on caretaker basis. We've not had our congresses that will produce substantive leaders. So it's on caretaker basis that is renewable every 3 months. So calculate from January 2023 till date, 3 months. The tenure have been renewed for more than 10 times, if not more. So in INEC record, they have the list. Every 3 months they have this. I'm not speaking for INEC, but I know that the list of the ESCO of Lagos State is in their coffers. This is the latest one that was dated 13th March 2025, and is part of what INEC released to LASIEC, among many other ones. So there's nothing fishy here, nothing at all.
Okay.
So now, the other leg of your question, why are there always dissenting voices? My brother, the truth is that what Labour Party achieved during the 2023 election has become a source of worry to many people. And they are doing everything possible to make sure we don't do or repeat that again. That is what you're seeing. Or otherwise, nobody will surface to claim he is this or that until election comes. And of course, is Lagos State the only state in the federation? Why not go and constitute other caretaker committees in other states and Abuja? Why Lagos State?
All right. This would also be a follow-up question to asking as to how, as a party, aside these issues that are raised in terms of the preparation ahead of the LG polls, do you have reservations, other reservations, in terms of the arrangement or involvement of some other stakeholders in this?
Well, for us, we don't really have, our focus is to win the election. And we don't want to be distracted. We don't want to be derailed. we want to
No security concerns?
Well, of course, security issue is a general issue that every political party, every organization is faced with in Nigeria. So for us, we want to do the best we can as a political party and get our goals delivered. We want to win the election. That is our focus. We don't want anybody to derail us. We don't want to be distracted, because what we see around are just distractions. People who want to continue transactional politics in Lagos, and that is what we want to stop.
Transactional politics?
Yes.
Who are their sponsors?
Well, I don't want to name names, but your guess may be as good as mine.
I have no guess.
Well, the truth is that we achieved a feat no political party had done in Lagos in 23 years.
Yes.
And some people are unsettled.
They put a target on our back.
Of course.
And so
They put a target
on our
your-
backs. Yes.
What does that mean?
It means that Labour Party is constantly being targeted, constantly being attacked, constantly being trying to be distracted. People are trying to distract us constantly, because they know that once the Labour Party goes into an election with the youth behind us, because that is the power of the Labour Party, with the youth behind us, we will win.
Okay, but I'm still going to come back to, do you think, do you think that kind of momentum tsunami is still there, given, I'm still going to go back to the internal crisis within the party and the, from those on the outside, perceived divisions. Do you think that the party still has that kind of force?
The momentum is there, actually, going into these local government elections, especially with our Omoadubu Gongo initiatives that we're doing, our grassroots initiatives. Right, most of our candidates in these local government elections are from the communities that they want to represent. And so we're seeing a groundswell of support for a lot of them, people like Honorable Daira Shade in Ifako-Ijaya and
Okay,
likes.
no problem. I would not allow you to
Fair
campaign on the program. But before I let you go, sir, let me come back to you, Mr. Okpala. If you were to maybe advise, dissenting voices within your party, what would you tell them?
Well, my advice is, if they really claim to be members of the party and they love the party, let them drop all this and join forces with the right leadership of the party to move the party forward. Very simple. Politics is always +1. We don't want to shut anybody out. We want everybody to come under the umbrella or under our flag, as the case may be. So my advice is for them, if they truly claim they love the party, after all, our mission is to change the narrative. Our mission is to build the new Nigeria that will be favorable to everybody. So I would advise them to drop this transactional mentality and join the leadership of the party to move Nigeria forward.
And sorry, to the powers that be in Lagos State, we hope Oro will not come out during this election time, please. Oro should not come out, please. It is political. Let it stop.
Is it a pattern you noticed?
It is. That's why we have to speak out. Every election time, they claim to bring Oro out to scare people, to disenfranchise voters. We need to speak up about that.
All right, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely still talk more on this. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on New Central Television, and I still have my guest with me. Of course, Adeola Onikoyi is the Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Lagos State, and also Sam Emeka Okpala is the Lagos State Secretary for the Labour Party. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Sir, I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Okpala. You said you kept using the word transactional politics. Do you think that, what would you suggest as a permanent solution? Because even when it comes to elections, unfortunately, what we often see is the monetization. We've seen it happen in a couple of elections where people are induced, to vote a certain pattern or a certain candidate. What do you think there's a permanent solution to transactional politics?
Well, for us as a party, we frown against such practice. But I want to draw a little bit of line. Inducement of electorates or voters is a little bit different from what I call transactional politics or politicians. What I am saying here when I mention transactional politics is the fact that some people are being used to destabilize the party for pecuniary gains, who claim that they are members of the Labour Party, but they are working with the other side to make sure they destabilize the party. And they are not doing it for free. They are doing it for their selfish and pecuniary gains. So those are the people I call transactional politicians.
All right. Let's switch the conversation right now to talk about another pivotal issue, which of course happens to be a recent development by the House of Representatives, where the House of Representatives has withdrawn a bill that aimed to make voting mandatory for all eligible Nigerians. Now, this bill, sponsored by Speaker of the House, Abbas Tajuddin, and Representative Daniel Ago, proposed amending the Electoral Act of 2022 to compel citizens to participate in elections with penalties of up to 100,000 naira fine or 6 months imprisonment for defaulters. But this has been dropped after Nigerians reacted. Well, joining this conversation right now is Akinola Akinwumi. He's a Behavioral Insights Lead Policy Innovation Center. He joins virtually. Thank you for your time. Mr. Akinola, can you hear me? Okay, once we are able to connect with Mr. Akinola, we'll definitely bring him on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, great.
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. It's good to have you. So let me first ask, as a Nigerian, when you got the feel of this law or this bill that has now been silenced, how did you react? I think we have a bit of connectivity issues with Mr. Akinola there, but once we are able to establish connection, we'll definitely pick it up. But let me come back to my studio, guys. Let me start with you, Adeola. You're a young Nigerian. This bill came up, and then people reacted, even though we know it's silence. But do you think that the House was actually addressing the issue here is voter apathy from its root cause, or are they placing the cart before the horse?
They're placing several carts before the horse. The bill would have been unconstitutional. There were so many things wrong with that bill that it wouldn't. I never saw it seeing the light of day. And so when I saw the news, I laughed, and I was like, it's one of those things politicians do to make noise, to make people know that they're working, right? And so.
But on the flip side, some will say it's some sort of win for political parties, because right now it means if you're able to canvass enough, more votes for the parties.
For the parties, right? And so you compel people to vote. In societies where they've done it, I know it's been done in Egypt, I know it's been done in Australia, I know it's been done in, I know Egypt and Australia, definitely. They also have their issues with it, most of which has to do with funding, right? We are a country where we are constantly borrowing and constantly looking for funds. We're a country where PVC collection is still not at the optimal level, and yet we want to force people to vote. How would you enforce it, right? Firstly, you have to identify all those who are eligible to vote, right? After doing that, then you have to identify those who are eligible and did not vote. Then you have to make a decision. Do you prosecute or not? How many millions of Nigerians will be prosecuted for that? I think it's just a waste of time.
How about you, sir?
Well, I like my position with what my publicity secretary said. The truth is that forced obedience is not really obedience. Things should be allowed to evolve. The reason why you have apathy, voter apathy in Nigeria, is because citizens have lost interest.
Yes.
Their votes don't count. At the end of the day, it will still be same of same. So that is the issue. Once, that is what Labour Party is working on. If we have the right leadership, where we have good governance, people will be willing to come and participate in the electoral process. So for us, this bill is like a forced obedience. That's what I would call it. Like he said, how many millions will you prosecute in every election cycle? The solution is good governance.
Yes.
Good governance. But I would also want to ask, I mean, from your experience, you know, as politicians and party members in the last election in 2023, what were some of the challenges you faced as an opposition party in a state like Lagos, for instance?
It was a hell of an experience where our supporters, our sympathizers were maimed, attacked, injured.
Businesses completely
Businesses
ruined.
completely shut. People were openly asked not to come out to vote if you're not going to vote for a particular party or candidate. It's absurd. It was, I don't know how to describe it. You see people coming out with dangerous weapons, harassing people, harassing voters. It was a hellish of an experience that we do not want to see again.
And it did not stop just after the election or during the election. It continues, right? Because constantly, opposition members are constantly targeted. The businesses, in Lagos State, I'm being very specific, in Lagos State, their businesses are constantly being targeted.
How is that?
Simply because they are not. I don't want to specify, right? But I've had instances where people would not get jobs, people would not get contracts, people would not get opportunities simply because they are known to vote for the Labour Party. That is not the way to play politics. That is not the way to play, to govern, right? You have won. You've won it. Govern for us all.
All right, let me see if Akinola, Akinwumi is back online. Akinola, are you there? Okay, great. We really lost connection with you. So the floor is yours. This bill, even though we know it's been rested, from a behavioral perspective, how do you find it? We are having serious, connectivity issues with you. We can barely hear you, Mr. Akinwumi, but maybe we hope that before the show ends, we'll be able to take your perspective on this. Let me come back to the studio. Now, before we go on this break, you said that a lot of issues, your members, as opposition, you faced and all of that in a place like Lagos, the intimidation and all of that. But there's also the talk around having a election, what I call it tribunal court, a court set aside just to treat cases that as regards, election violations. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
From a legal standpoint, how tenable is this?
I think it should just be more of the same, because right now, all we just need to do is effectively marshal our electoral tribunals, because electoral matters are sui generis. What that means is they are unique, right, in law. And so the way they are conducted are still separate from the normal court proceedings and tribunals. And so, not to get too nitty-gritty into the legal part, in my opinion, what needs to be done is we need to see the judiciary step up and showcase not just say that there is fairness and there is equity going on, but show that there is fairness and equity going on. Because when we have these funny ex parte applications that are usually granted, that we as lawyers know should never be granted, right? And we see things like that happen, and then these same judges are also put on election tribunals. the candidates, the lawyers, their confidence is not there. And so I think that's part of what we need to work on in our system.
All right, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we would of course be winding down. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. Well, at this point we are discussing a bill that has been withdrawn now. It was a proposal that would criminalize those of voting age who do not vote during elections. It was pushed by the House of Reps, but it's been withdrawn. And we still have our guest in the studio talking about it. Right now, let's see if we can connect with Adeola. Akinwumi is a behavioral insight lead at Policy Innovation Center. I want to believe your network is better now. Mr. Akinwumi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, absolutely, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So quickly, your take on this matter.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I think that that withdrawal is a win for democracy and particularly electorate. I think that it is within the purview of the rights and privileges of electorates to choose whether they want to participate or not, even though we try to encourage it as part of their civic responsibilities. But attaching fines and all of that and making punitive measures to not voting, I don't think that is the kind of democracy that we do want to practice. And there are many other ways to go about this. If you really want to promote more voter participation, we do appreciate that voter apathy is a serious problem. And we think that, I also personally think that we don't have enough participation when you compare the data of the registered voters vis-a-vis the number of people who come out to vote. But I mean, if you backtrack and look at it retrospectively from the get-go, what is it that would demotivate people from wanting to vote? I mean, this is something that should be aspirational for an average citizen. This is something that should connect to a social identity that, yes, I'm able to vote. I exercise my franchise and I'm able to participate in something that is a shared glory and a common collective aspiration for me as a citizen. However, something went wrong, and that's leadership, right? A lot of things went wrong, but amidst of all of the things that went wrong, I think that leadership has to be demonstrated. The social contract has to be seen to be working. And when I say it has to be seen to be working, it means that people must trust the entire process, trust both the leaders and trust the process. And so the demand cannot be exercised outside of the purview of supply. So demands and supply are interdependent. What that means is that if you want more participation and demand and voter turnout and all of that, you must ensure that the entire structure is seamless, it is simplified, it is encouraging, and it reflects the true votes of the people. I think if you look at all of those parameters and you demonstrate accountable leadership, the citizens' trust is going to be boomed, and you would have more people come out voluntarily to vote. And there are many theoretical sciences that backs up the fact that the cost of enforcing this kind of policies is usually unaffordable to a country like ours. So what you really want to promote is voluntary action and voluntary voting.
All right, Adeola, thank you so much. I wish we had so much time to, of course, dwell more from your perspective, but we are really pressed for time. Let me quickly come back to the studio before we wrap and ask you, let's leave the issue of voting and let's come back to your party, which is the Labour Party. I mean, I'll make reference to what an assertion the Senate President did say as regards a pivotal person within your party, and that's Peter Obi. And he said that he wants to be president, but yet can't solve the internal crisis within his party. I mean, you are members of the Labour Party, and I'm going to put it straight to you. I'm starting with you first, Mr. Okpala. Do you think His Excellency Peter Obi is doing enough to, solve the internal crisis within the party?
Well, for me, I am not the spokesperson for the National Working Committee of the party. I'm just the secretary of a state chapter. For me, Peter Obi is a respected member of the Labour Party as we speak. The issues we have in the party, I would say personally that His Excellency needs to do better than he has done. Considering who he is, considering his political experience, considering the level he has attained in the party, I expect him to do more and better than he has done with all this happening in the party.
So you feel he hasn't done so much, but he can still do a bit more?
That's my belief.
And are there specific areas you feel that he can touch that all of this will blow away?
Well, for me, political party is all about inclusion. For somebody that has risen to his position as a former presidential candidate of the party, he is seen as the father, in quote, to the party. And it's unfortunate if a father takes side in a crisis within his family. A father should be father of all and father to all. And that is what I expect him to do.
All right, thank you. Let me come back to Akinomi. Akinomi, just quickly, if you can respond in 30 seconds. Now, ahead of 2027 polls, there's this talks of, the coalition, and we are seeing the waves of defection too. I mean, from a behavioral perspective, as a behavioral expert as you are, what do you see happening ahead of 2027 with everything we're seeing? What does this reflect of Nigeria's politics? In 30 seconds.
Well, yes, so this is a typical herd behavior. Herd is H-E-R-D. And you see that groupthink is characteristic when you do not have a guiding philosophy, particularly for the parties. And so participating in even in the party politics and the description and the philosophy guiding the party should be first straightened out. If you don't straighten that, you will find that people cannot connect their social identity to the role and their responsibilities and their participation in the party. And that's why you see that without consistency and alignment between their social identity and the philosophy of the party, you would continue to see those kind of migrations. And I mean, there are many theories and there are many reasons why people will want to jump ship, especially when you see that, when you really estimate the chances of winning and not winning. I mean, it's pure cost-benefit analysis. So you wouldn't really blame anybody who is defecting at this point. Is simply their own estimation of the probability of winning versus what is going to cost them in the long run and their political career. However, I think that until we get the parties to have consistent philosophy around what their mandate is, what their guiding philosophies are, you would continue to have this kind of migration and herd behavior.
All right, thank you very much. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Akinola Akinwumi is Behavioral Insight Lead at Policy Innovation Center. Thank you so much for your time. Also, Adeola Onikoyi is the Publicity Secretary of Labour Party, Lagos State. Thank you. Thank you. And Sam Emeka Okpala is the Lagos State Secretary for the Labour Party. Gentlemen, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. This, of course, is where we drop the curtains. In case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to follow us across social media. The handle is there on your screen. You can choose to follow me personally at Dakbo at Digboyi. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.